Tuesday, January 26, 2021. Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. We're going to look at the sentiment for precious metals, gold and silver, and commodities relative to the general stock market, relative to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I think it's screaming bullish. You look at even the alternative media now, like Stansberry Research, they're bringing on a lot more people to talk about cryptocurrencies. Even a guy from Bloomberg Intelligence came on yesterday to say that Bitcoin is not volatile, that gold is just as volatile. Yes, even the bankers now love Bitcoin. They ignore gold, of course. And I'm going to talk about why that is bullish. Usually when people are too keen to be, how can I say, enthusiastic about asset classes, it's a sign that that asset class, not just Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but also technology. It seems today that technology is everything. I mean, even the NASDAQ yesterday made an all-time high. I think it's just a bubble. And I think people also forget the fact that the current monetary system, when you talk of the dollar or the euro and the currencies that became part of the euro, you talk about the pound, the yen, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, every currency in the world, they're here because of precious metals, because of gold and silver. Don't forget, up until 1974, actually, in Germany, silver coins were used. Up until 1971, for thousands of years, the monetary system, well, that was gold and silver. The banknotes that we still have, not using as much, of course, is more digital. They're just a derivative. They're just a promissory note on specie, on real money. So all the currencies today are derivatives of money, derivatives of real money, gold and silver. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything else, they're derivatives of a derivative, a derivative of the fiat currencies, of course. So I think the argument of technology also doesn't really make sense with money, especially gold and silver. Gold and silver have been around for thousands of years. Technology has improved for thousands of years. And yet, gold and silver are still very important for the monetary system. The banks on Wall Street, City of London, Frankfurt, Paris, they're not called bullion banks for nothing. They're not crypto banks. Why do they still deal in bullion, even though the traders and the dealers at those banks probably wouldn't know a coin, a gold or silver coin, if it hit them in the face? Well, they do it because they need to keep their fiat currencies overvalued relative to real money. So they're agents of the central bank. And that's why central banks still hold over 30,000 metric tons of gold. They don't hold Bitcoin. They hold gold, silver, not so much, of course. And I think all these comments we're seeing, all the we're not just getting, I guess, hate from bullion banks, from the powers that be. We're getting also hate from people who actually want to sound money, because a lot of people who got into cryptocurrencies, they know what the fiat currency system is. But unfortunately, they don't realize that their cryptocurrencies are a derivative of a derivative. The real base of the monetary system is gold and silver. And they need to maybe be a little more humble, I think. And I think they're going to be eating humble pie in the future. I'm not saying cryptocurrencies can't move around. I mean, I've got a cryptocurrency called Library Credit, RBRY Credit. I post my videos on Library, and that cryptocurrency has gone from around 2 cents to 11 cents. So it's gone almost sixfold. So yes, you're going to have this very speculative sector that is cryptocurrency. But as money and a stable store of value, there's nothing better than gold and silver. I mean, Roman legions were getting paid with silver and gold. And nowadays, silver and gold are still here. Will cryptocurrencies be around in 1,000, 2,000 years? I'm not too sure, but I think gold and silver will be. Of course, we won't be around, but I just think people need to be patient and don't let these people get to you. I've been at this game for a while. I've spoken about that FT editorial from 2004 where they're predicting back then the end of gold, going gold. I've spoken about it many times. If you haven't heard about this editorial, just freeze or pause the video here and do a screenshot of this editorial and have a read through it. At the time, gold was at $400 an ounce. And yes, it's frustrating. A lot of people feel like gold and silver should be a lot higher because of the inflation that we're seeing. And that's another thing that gets me. Even the very credible, very prominent economists, they don't seem to know the true definition of inflation, which is the creation of money and credit. And I have to suspect that they need to play the game, right? They need to keep the central banking game going. So they can't say, oh, we've had massive inflation for the last 40 years, because we're supposed to have had a period of stable prices. But we're still having like 2, 3, 4, 1% inflation every year for 40 years. That's going to completely destroy a big part of the purchasing power of the currency. So that's what you need to keep in mind. The other thing you need to keep in mind, just look at this chart here from Incremento in their report from last year, In Gold We Trust. That was May 2020. They showed how gold, on average, has gone up by 10% every year since 2001 in all major fiat currencies. And last year it was even more. It went up 25% in dollars. And yes, it's a stable store of value. And I would say the period from 2011 up until recently, actually 2019, 2018, gold was doing very little while the system was still being inflated. And by inflating the system, I mean the Fed's balance sheet, the national debt, the private debt, corporate debt, that's gone through the roof. I think the rich countries' debt to GDP is over 400%. I think we're almost at 300 trillion total debt for the world. And just think that when Reagan took office in 1981, the national debt was below $1 trillion. Now we're approaching 30 trillion. Gold at the time, I think, in 1980, it went up to almost 900. And we're still here at 1850. Yes, it is frustrating, but gold and silver are going to go to multiples higher than where we're now. When will that happen? Very difficult to say, but we need to be patient. We need to realize that, yes, gold and silver are money. The thing that I recommend people doing, people who are thinking about buying gold and silver, people who think they have gold and silver because they have ETFs or they have mining stocks, they need to actually go out and buy a gold coin or a silver coin and just hold on to it and see what real money is. Then they'll realize that everything else is just air or credit, like JP Morgan said, right? They asked him at a hearing in Congress, I think it was 1912 or 13, the Peugeot hearings, and they asked him what gold was, and he said, well, gold is money. That's it. Everything else is credit. So even cryptocurrencies, that's credit. because it's based on the US dollar. So gold and silver, or gold especially, is at the center of the monetary universe. Everything around it changes in value. 1 ounce of gold will stay an ounce of gold. And it's the yardstick of value. It's a fixed yardstick of value. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, they're even further out in the universe. They're a derivative of the dollar, which is a derivative of gold and silver. So I would tell people who are concerned, who are listening to all this talk about cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, how bullion banks, of course, they always saying, oh, gold is going to average so-and-so in the next 2 years. We're going to be back to 1600. Yeah, just ignore these people. And just realize that this system needs to keep getting inflated, or else it will collapse. And if it collapses, we'll see loads of bankruptcies, and gold and silver are going to do well because they don't have any counterparty risk. They're no one else's liability. It's the only monetary asset, or really that is no one else's liability. There's no counterparty risk, and that's why it's money. So with that, let's look at where the markets are this morning. It's about 8:45 a.m. London. Spot gold is pretty much stuck in a range still. We're at 1854, down about $2. The range has been 1862 to 1849. We got silver at 25.33. That's unchanged. Range has been 25.17 to 25.55. The Dow future is down 55. S&P is down 10. NASDAQ 100 future is down 38. Fiat currencies, the pound is down 1/3% at 136.20. The euro is down slightly at 121.30. Dollars unchanged versus the yen at 103.78. Dollars at 648.60, so slightly higher versus the yuan. Copper is down about 1%. WTI crude is at 52.60, down about 1/4. Commodities have kind of topped in the short term. I still think there's a long way to go for commodities and precious metals, of course. They're hated. It's like back in 01, 02. Commodities, gold, silver were hated. Or even before that, 99, 2000. The place to be was in the stock market. And even after the dot-com bubble burst, gold and silver and commodities were like forgotten, just like they're now, I think. So one thing I've noticed here, we're seeing the yields drop, or we've seen bond prices rise. The 10-year yield for the last week or so had been stuck around 110. But right now, we've dropped. We're at 104. So it's a fairly significant drop from yesterday, 4 or 5 basis points. There's talk that the stimulus is going to be less than people expected, less than the 1.9 trillion. Is that bearish for precious metals and commodities? No, because in the long run, or even in the medium term to the long term, they're going to have to keep inflating, be it fiscally, be it monetarily, because there's no other way for the system to keep going. We've gone too far past, well, we went too far past in 08, 09. I said back then to my colleagues at work, they won't be able to stop inflating. They tried to normalize a few years ago under Powell, and you saw what happened in the last couple of years. They had to reverse everything. So there you go. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide. Think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet. And you can also follow me on Facebook, Hive, BitChute, Library, and Steemit. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.